This is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the original classic version. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So what are we getting here? It's 600p, 60 FPS smooth with auto HDR support. There is also a remastered version of the game available if you just want to play the campaign. But this is that classic version that includes the epic, groundbreaking sequel to Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. And it also includes the Spec Ops mode, and it also includes the online multiplayer for that classic semi-arcadey experience that you probably know and love from back in the day. So we're starting off with the campaign, we'll show off a little bit of the Spec Ops, and we'll show off the multiplayer as well. So you get an idea of both of those, well, basically the entire package in action here in its original classic glory. So yeah, if you're not familiar with this entry, it directly followed the events of the first Modern Warfare entry, but interestingly enough, mix things up a bit, as it aimed to set the stakes a little higher and add a more intensive conflict and a more global conflict to what was going on. So yeah, this was a very interesting and fascinating entry in the series, because it basically, through certain events that happened across the story of this one, it created an invasion standpoint where the Russian forces attacked the homeland of the US, which was really intense, a little bit crazy, and at the time, something that a lot of people would be like, whoa, that's, kind of crazy. Nowadays, maybe not so much, but at the time it was an interesting thought and concept that I found quite fascinating. And then obviously the series was concluded Modern Warfare wise with Modern Warfare 3 that came afterwards. And then, whoa, what was that? And then it was rebooted later on, and we're actually, at this point past Modern Warfare 2 again. So that one is like Modern Warfare 2, which I just kind of find sort of like humorous, the concept that it's been so long since I remembered this one literally releasing, picking it up, and then seeing, a rebooted franchise. To me, that's wild how fast time has gone by. So the game, campaign-wise, is split between a couple perspectives. You get to see, like, Task Force, you've got Price, you've got Soap, and then you've also got these various soldiers as they fight across these different fronts and try to protect, well, the American homeland from the invading forces. And it was really interesting because, Call of Duty 4 was very much, there was some larger stakes, but it was very kind of focused on like the Middle East and whatnot, whereas this one a lot more of a global spanning experience, and one that did literally brought the warfare home and really changed things up in quite a fascinating way. Like, it was so wild at the time to see like an area that you typically didn't really get to see in conflict being a place of like all out warfare. It was wild, and then defending the land from like the Russians and it was pretty crazy. Is he shooting at the tail of the plane? That's a little bit weird. A sentry gun, how exciting. But yeah, this one's really quite neat. And if you are playing the story, I would say giving the remastered version of this game a go might be the ideal way to do it, just because they have improved the textures and the quality of the experience quite a bit, in my opinion, and that to me makes it kind of like really worthwhile. Hey, there's Burger Town. Get a bad guy up on the roof, and those are just some flags. So yeah, that's just some options that are present for this one, and obviously trying to give you the best experience. But if you want multiplayer, this is the way to enjoy your experience for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, obviously, right? Because it is such a well-loved classic entry that just delivered high-octane action, crazy stakes, and some really good times. Like, even the Spec Ops mode is just really quite cool, since you're like working in co-op to kind of do all of these different challenges. The campaign itself, you know, straightforward. You do linear, large, crazy theaters of war, and then, you know, you kind of have these wild set pieces. There are, like, hidden, I guess you would say, intel kind of things you can gather. There's different difficulties if you want more of a challenge. I got killed? What? What were my teammates doing? I got killed, like, we got attacked from behind? That is ridiculous. Oh, come on. I guess I should have put the claymores down. That kills me. Well, it literally did kill me, but, like, come on. That is so funny. Like, that took me right out of it, because I was so focused on just, like, getting the sniping going and stuff. And then I get attacked from behind. Oh, wow. Obviously, I wasn't doing a very good job of protecting my, my flanks from the attacking forces. That's kind of crazy that one of my teammates took those guys out too, I want to add. That's kind of funny. Oh, and of course the classic war messages pop up. And then this storyline, if you're not familiar with the storyline of Modern Warfare 2, there are some extremely fun twists, turns, and excitement, and things that kind of keep you guessing, you know what I mean? You're never really sure what's going to go on or what's going to happen twist-wise. And it's really neat to see that all kind of play out. But let's switch over and show off a bit of the Spec Ops mode. So Spec Ops is interesting because it kind of tasks you with these different missions. You could play solo, but you know, some of the stuff requires like cooperative play. And then there's different difficulties that will give you your, well, your stars. So the stars are kind of like how well you did. You know, if you beat it on veteran, you get like the highest stars. And I have finished everything in this, so I am kind of proud of that, because it was quite a daunting cooperative task back in the day. It genuinely was. So you've got these different missions and goals. Some of them are like, hey, take out, you know, these enemies. Some of them are like battle juggernauts. Some of them are like, you know, clear your way through this thing, or detonate this thing, or do this stuff. Like, they actually do have a varied selection of tasks. Oh, one of them's like just racing and like these really fun, like snowmobiles and stuff. They give you a good variety of like tasks and objectives. So I think they did a pretty good job of offering a lot of different sort of challenge things for you to do. And I don't know if the new stuff that you see in the, you know, the modern rebooted stuff really quite touches the intensity that some of the stuff in this one did, because it was kind of really crazy and, as I said a little earlier, daunting to sit there and actually like do some of these missions. They were really quite crazy, honestly, and then you're sitting there just battling away trying to get the job done, and it's such a crazy time. Like, I really do think they were onto something with this mode, and it's just kind of a shame that it didn't really grow or get expanded upon in more like thrilling or wild ways, because, you know, while it does deliver, it didn't really get continued too much onwards later on in the series, and kind of almost, I would say, peaked a little bit with the stuff they were doing here. But it was still really cool, and I quite liked what the different offerings were. And obviously you should probably be more tactical, but trying to show off a little bit more action stuff too, right? Like, I'd probably sit here with a little bit more of a stealth approach, to be honest. Especially if you're doing a higher difficulty, you gotta actually really work at it to get the job done. That is interesting. Huh, didn't see that coming. But I probably should show off a little of the fun Spec Ops too, right? The fun Spec Ops, of course, being snowmobiles. I mean, I feel like you can't really show this game off if you don't include the fun snowmobile section. Like, you know, it's the snowmobiles, right? Like, yeah, it's a pretty cool part of the game when you get on like these things and just go, you're just like shooting along, and you're dodging the trees, and you're blasting guys, and you're whipping through this area. Pretty classic moment, I think, in the century overall. It's a pretty cool spot and one of those almost like must-play sort of segments where it's like, it's awesome. It really, it genuinely is like such a such a cool part of the experience, for sure. Yeah, I feel like I'd be doing it an injustice if I didn't showcase this sort of thing, but we should switch over and present the multiplayer. So the multiplayer portion of the experience is obviously something a lot of people that enjoyed this back in the day hold very dear. You know, it was basically the style of play that was present in Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, but amped up to a very, very higher degree in terms of everything just kind of being larger. More prestiging, more weapons, more unlocks, more personalization, more intensity, more competitive play. And, you know, they did learn some things because, you know, Treyarch had some goes at it as well. And, you know, it really was just sort of the game of the time. This game was massive. Everyone I knew played this game. This was kind of the Call of Duty, and especially the multiplayer, that most people that I know that still kind of play COD today or played COD a lot. While I was younger, this is where they basically started playing. This is their favorite, as, you know, I started with Call of Duty 3. Call of Duty 4 was really my jam, but I know so many people really, truly do just love this entry in the series. So I do find this one to be a little bit more arcadey in concept than, you know, some of the Call of Duties. Mostly, I think you could be, you know, giving me a fair note there because of, like, the commando lunge, the one-man army, the tack knifing, the noob tubing, the crazy shotguns that could clear rooms, although shotgun stuff's changed a lot in COD 2 over the years. They've definitely, I think they've almost made it more realistic, but like I was saying, like, some of the stuff in this game was a little bit, like, sort of silly almost, but, you know, it was fun. Oh, the quick scoping, I don't even want to get started on, like, the quick scoping thing. That still drives me crazy. I'm just trying to get my care package before these guys, like, kind of kill me. A resupply. Wow, how generous. That's what I've always wanted. Is that Predator missile gonna come down and, like, smack me? Nope. Okay, so anyways, yeah. Speaking of care packages, I remember, like, just for a little bit of fun on this one, I was around for, like, the care package glitch, which apparently, it looks like my classes are, like, sort of set up for this. I don't know why. But yeah, I was around for, like, the care package glitching was hilarious, and there was, like, a point when the game first launched that, like, the Kimbo 1886s were, like, god tier shotguns that would, like, snipe people across the map, so everyone was using that, and, you know, they've just done all kinds of, like, crazy fun stuff with this one, just, like, over the top mayhem and ridiculousness. I think that was one of the worst emergency airdrops I've ever I've ever had the disappointment of picking up, that is for sure. But yeah, this really was, I think, some really well-loved, exciting multiplayer that people wasted hours on. I mean, it was great fun. And then there was, like, the weird prestige lobbies and people always wanting to 1v1, and there was a lot of silly stuff in this one. There was a lot of enjoyable stuff in it. It really was an experience that, like, was kind of crazy. Like, there's not much like it. And obviously Modern Warfare 3, I think, went a little bit more grounded on stuff, but, you know, they're very, very similar. And then this one from COD 4 to this one was quite a big gap in tech. And yeah, it really was kind of crazy. Do I have the AC-130 on here? I wonder if I can kind of get that. Was I close to that? I feel like if I didn't have the AC-130 on, I probably should have. But all the modes and stuff were intense too. This was when we started getting a lot more Call of Duty, like, game modes. You know, there was, like, Demolition was awesome, Search was intense. We enjoyed all kinds of different, like, Domination, Ground War stuff was crazy. And then the map pack DLC was super cool for this one. You had to buy map pack stuff back in the day. That's right, DLC maps were not free, guys. And then the unlocks, too. You had so many unlocks, but we'll jump into the next match here. So yeah, it really was quite an exciting multiplayer. So, like, they had so many different cool things that you could unlock in this one. You know, the 10th Prestige just was quite a race. I'm, like, almost maxed out. I'm the top Prestige, but I didn't get the final level. Maybe I will at some point, right? But, you know, they had all these, like, call signs and titles and emblems and things you could earn by doing stuff, and it was, like, such a race to try to unlock everything. That was laggy, which was exciting. And then, you know, you have all these other things like gun skins and everything you earned in the game, right? You actually had to work towards earning all of this stuff, and it was such a monumental hit, this game overall. It really was such a massive game for its time, and I mean, even today, I know so many still hold it with such high regard and such high love. And the multiplayer, the selection of maps was awesome. You know, we talked about the DLC and stuff, but even the base levels were really good and creative. And then you've got like all these different guns and weapons and kill streaks, you know, the Harrier to the chopper gunner to like the nuke, and everybody doing like nuke boosting, and oh, there's a lot of like weird, funny nostalgia things from this one back in the day in regards to like all the silly things that happened, if that makes sense. Like all of the weird, crazed events. Like it was like a culture kind of thing of like different stuff that would go on while you were like playing it and enjoying it over the years. I remember it had like with this one anti-party chat too stuff, like certain lobbies where you couldn't talk in the party chat, and what a wild experience this was. Now nobody wants to talk at all, but yeah, people were pretty crazy in this one in regards to stuff. It was a wild, different time and an exciting part of like my youth, seeing this one come out and see so many people get into the experience that was, you know, kind of Call of Duty. It's been such a long time. It really is crazy to see it, like, you know, continue to be playing it so many years onwards. It's a bit of a treat, some would say, you know, especially if you quite like this one. And yeah, it looks like I had airdrop, emergency airdrop, and nuke on last match, so I definitely wasn't gonna get a nuke in like team deathmatch, that's for sure. But anyways, it's something that you could really have a lot of fun with. Everyone I knew was playing this game and having a really good time with it at its time, and yeah, it is wild to see the years go on and to see other entries release and to see so many games within this franchise continue to actually use some of the maps and stuff from this one. Is just kind of wild. Like, it's like, oh yeah, I literally remember that game, like being there, being present for this thing, like coming out for the first time and seeing every quirk along the way. And now we talk about it in like a nostalgic sense of a time long gone. It just sort of blows my mind. This was also like so big, like some of the events and like some of the shock value things of this game too. I remember actually like sitting there in school and we had like social chats about this game in regards to like some of the content, like the social media or social studies we had back in the day. And this was like a topical thing because of like some of the scenic things that went on. Obviously, you know, the big surprise, remember, no rush, and, you know, stuff like that. Wow. Not liking how that's going. So yeah, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, it really was kind of the full package, and it dominated for a reason, and it was part of like really a simpler time, I think, in this series, because, you know, it's changed so much, and while this one did have some DLC in that, it really was focused on earning, unlocking, playing, you know, battling and enjoying the content, and less about having to, like, you know, do other stuff that becomes so prevalent. So it's just kind of always a nice return to take a look at this, and it's a shame that, you know, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, the first one, and that's the full experience. But for Modern Warfare 2, we missed out on actually getting, you know, the full package upgraded. Just having that campaign. But like I said earlier, it is worthwhile to go play that campaign, you know, in that upgraded way, because the texturing and stuff, it looks much better, much higher resolution. But for multiplayer, if you want to experience this one, it's still here, it's still going, it's still something worth checking out, and it's kind of a cool experience. I think a blast from the past. Not doing too well this match, but my first match, I think I earned my meh performance on later stuff. But I think you really can enjoy this. I think even now it's still something that like holds up as being a bit crazy, a bit wild. I don't necessarily love things like the quick scoping or the crazy nuke tubing at the one-man army stuff, and you know, some of the stuff's cheap, some of the stuff's like commando lunging and that, some of the stuff's a little silly and arcadey, but still a good shooter, still offers a lot to do, people still love it, people are still playing it for the first time, and yeah, that basically is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. It set the stage for this franchise to continue to grow, and what a monster it has continued to become, for sure.